Good evening and welcome to Slam the Gavel, the show that tells it all regarding family court issues. I'm your host, Marianne Petrie, and today we're going to be talking with Dan, and he has issues he would like to discuss regarding the system by design, parental alienation, the silver bullet, and gaslighting, narcissism, and pathological lying. And Dan is our very special guest. And I would like to ask you, Dan, how are you doing tonight?
I could do a whole lot better.
Well, that's okay. We're all. I think even I'm having kind of a rough day myself. Um, what's been going on with you as far as the system by design? Why is the system designed? And we're talking the family court system. We're talking about children's services. It has good intentions, but it's flawed by human interference. So what do you think?
I truly believe there isn't enough checks and balances, and I don't believe that the system itself is working because, like you said, it is flawed by human interference, and that human interference brings in bias feelings in which immunities enable the the people to continue with whatever they believe that they're doing by right, and everybody that goes into the system believes that they're doing the right thing. They're doing what they can, and godly's work or God's work, godly work, but they're subjecting their own bias feelings into each and every case. And I believe that there isn't enough checks and balances to maintain fairness, and they have policies and they have all these rules in which they have to follow. But it seems like every case that I have looked through or looked at or read about or heard about, there's always some sort of issue in which there is something broken that isn't being fixed, and people are allowed to get away with it, so they're able to continue with it. And it's only not until now that it's actually being exposed, especially everywhere. Save the children. um, you have all these posts and these problems being put on our social media platform, and the information is getting readily shared. And honestly, herd mentality is actually hurting the issues as well, because uh, everybody is jumping on the bandwagon with a new fad, or they're jumping on the bandwagon and not actually investigating. And that's also happening in family court and with CPS. They're not investigating. They're jumping on the bandwagon. They want to have that hero mentality. They're not really making a healthier society, and it's becoming more corrupt because of it. And they're being blinded in their views of helping someone, when what was it? It wasn't even just today. I saw it again. 80 to 88% of all human trafficking is coming from foster care, from CPS agencies. All these
Exactly.
children have open cases that they were removed, and then they're being rescued now. Uh, I can go on Facebook and see the posts of the statistics. There's like 200 children in Wyoming, 200 children in Virginia, and the list keeps going on and on and on.
And the problem is that there's these state incentives like Title 4E and Title 4D that keep it going.
Not only that, it's like James Weiss said. He mentioned that a judge was giving incentives and bonuses for CPS and to get quotas. Like, that isn't helping. With a lot of these families, I bet you a good 80% of all these stories that you read on CPS corruption, fighter cries, attorneys for U.S. families, statutes for U.S. families, all these sites that are going up, 80% of these families are not need actual help, but instead of getting the help that they need and to receive, they're going like in a backwards back trend, and taking the children away off of the most minute allegation and blowing it out of proportion, and not
Hmm.
actually looking around anything surrounding this fact or the situation, or they're not investigating outside sources. Like you were saying the other day, you said one-sided investigation. And I'm like, what is a one-sided investigation? And I started looking into that. I have the same situation, a one-sided investigation. And it even states in their protocols and policies that they must question neighbors, families, friends, anybody that had the child that day, prior to that day, and maybe even extend to a week. But in my situation, all they asked was the woman who made the allegations, who was in fact investigated to be drunk and high off drugs. And it's like, did you guys even investigate her? No. They don't need to investigate her. She hotline. She's anonymous. She has immunity. But the children said she was drunk and high off drugs. Are you kidding me?
Well, and that's just it. I mainly when people, stand up for criminals that are in that position, they're utilizing everything for profit. It's all a profit game.
But what is money going to really buy you in the end? Your
But
bond
yeah,
when you get caught?
right, yeah. If they get caught, how about
Nah,
that?
honestly, yeah.
And I also believe the family courts and CPS perpetuate parental alienation.
Absolutely do. And in my situation, they have done exactly that. Um, you know, the mother had the child and disappeared with her when we were supposed to make a new life for each other. She Child's been missing for 6 years. That there is parental alienation.
Oh, I'm
She
so
moved out of
sorry.
state. That is also illegal. When you have a child with someone, unless you have family court paperwork with 100% custody, you can't even move down the street without notifying the other parent. Otherwise, that is illegal.
Right.
And that, and you know, the parental alienation is absolutely abused by the system, because the system is being used to parental alienate. The parents are using the system with false allegations. All you got to do is make a phone call. It's anonymous. And guess what? You got full custody, you got immunity, and you got all the support from victims association. You got the support from advocates. Everybody believes you because you're saving the child. And it's, and the person defending themselves, the targeted parent, is defending themselves on the skin of their teeth and whatever pennies they could scrounge off under the couch. And quite frankly, that should show right there parental alienation, and it's being used in the courts with false allegations, with hotlining. It's used for vengeance, for narcissistic reasons, to get a free custody. Honestly, family court is a lot of money. I've heard people spending 30 grand to 130 grand. Even this guy that was a bona fide uh, ro- missile specialist, ballistic specialist in the United States Navy or some, he spent over $200,000 off of something that was mistooken by the CPS, which any household will take it innocent. And quite frankly, anybody could say anything about anybody and start the process. And honestly, why would you use it? There's only one reason to parental alienate, is to
But
get is to get custody, or so is to
yeah,
hide something. Honestly,
and I don't think anyone should be allowed to hide anything. I think if you're going to call in a false accusation, you should be forced to give your name. And that would definitely cut down on a lot of stupidity and corruption, frivolous, fraudulent accusations.
And I really do believe that they need to not only do a drug test on everybody, I really
I
do.
agree. I agree.
They need to do thorough FBI background checks. I'm sorry, but even when I went to classes or and to get certified and licensed as an EMT, you have to have a thorough background check, an FBI background check, nonetheless. So why not, if a child is in a situation, and if it was imminent danger or if there was danger, why isn't the child just taken by the police? You know,
Right.
CPS, they really don't they get a doctorate and then they can become a CPS worker. They don't have a psychology degree. They don't have an investigation degree. They don't have a degree in criminology. They don't have a degree in psychology. None of that. They're not specialized or what's the word?
They're not even specialized in psychology
Well, they're
of,
not even professionals. They're just
no,
shown a video and said, "You're the hero. Go save some children."
right. And they're just inept caseworkers. A lot of them are. I'm sorry to say, but that's all I've ever seen. And they're destroying families with these one-sided interviews, and there's no justice. And the judges buy it, hook, line, and sinker. And
And,
whatever this caseworker says, the judge agrees with.
and honestly, qualified. They're not even qualified.
No, they're not.
And parental alienation is so new and so under researched that you really need a specialist at this point to look at a case. But now that the information is getting out, and I educated myself, anybody can on parental alienation, and the signs are there, and it's really easy to catch. The other state's court literally caught my child's mother lying in court, committing perjury under oath. And I even went as far as to bust out notarized paperwork when she denied she signed anything. And I was like, Judge, that's her signature. And he's like, well, we need a professional signature analyst to verify that. I said, oh, okay, it was notarized. Here's the notary, but we'll put that aside for now. And he was like, uh-huh, busted.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like she said, even in court records, parental alienation was used in court, and to the point where the judge told her, enough is enough. This is nothing but a family court case, and you're going to give him visitation rights whether you like it or not. And she didn't like that, and she said, I want a 4-year restraining order. And boom, parental alienation. And to put the cherry on the top, she told him, I don't want him visiting his daughter until she's 18 and on her own. Boom.
Oh, yes, that's terrible.
He
Oh,
told her straight out, this is nothing but a family court case. What are we even doing here?
oh, good.
So, and it shows. So judges are catching on, and the courts are catching on, but not everybody is a specialist in their field, and they need to look at the whole situation and not just what was said. He said, she said, hearsay. Honestly, documentation, facts, proof, evidence, witnesses, that all comes into a whole. And once you get that whole, you're not going to find out where the parental alienation is, what it's being used for, and when they're going to be using it.
Because it's all a surprise attack. It's a surprise smear campaign.
And that's exactly what I was hoping you would say, because I heard it out of your mouth in another interview. You were blindsided right there at work on the phone, and you had to go back to work, and so you hung up on her.
Just wanted to say something real quick. Yeah, so parent alienation, alienating, whatever. As my abusive mother, so abusive parents use false allegations of parental alienation to gain the upper hand in court, basically.
Yes, and she really did. When she saw that she could not fight this in family court with the evidence and documentation that I had, what did she use? The silver bullet.
Well, it's allegations. You got to have allegations. You can't go into court and testify without evidence. So I mean, it's these court hearings are basically hearsay.
Absolutely. Oh,
Exactly.
no,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, you can't testify unless there's evidence to testify to, or it's allegation. The judge can't even see a case. If there's no evidence, they have to dismiss the case that hearing.
Mm-mm-mm. Man. Oh, man.
But some of these judges are still hearing these cases. This is what concerns me.
Maybe for educational purposes, maybe for further mediation in which they can correct other cases. I do know that they do not want you to appeal and take it to a higher court, because then their rulings will be scrutinized, and they do not want that. So it could be for, like I said, educational purposes, or for a better direction in terminology in which they have to apply to the legality in which they are sitting in. And quite frankly, I don't want to be a lawyer. I don't want to be a judge. I've seen things go in and out of that court and how they play the game, and all it feels like is drama, drama, drama. Jerry Springer's show with Billy Mays as the infomercial. But wait, there's more, and it's like, oh my God, when does it end?
I think it ends when they totally destroy the family and they get their incentives, monies, and they move on to the next case.
Honestly, that's most likely the truth. I really don't know at this point in time. I'm still on the fence about a lot of stuff. You know, I've only been destroyed by the system in the past year and a half, and I've been absolutely blind to it. And it's like you said in the very beginning, unless it happens to you, you really don't know. You have no clue. You don't want nothing a part of it. What did that family do to have CPS involved? And like I said before, all it takes is a sneeze of you harmed your daughter or son in some way, and like the stuff hits the fan and everybody jumps on it. And that
And
go ahead.
and they jump on that bandwagon real fast too. To believe,
Especially, yeah.
you're right.
Uh, and that, if you have the right person that is narcissistic or wanting to get their way in any way, they're going to use that silver bullet to uh, get their way fully for free, especially if they don't want any cost to them. And like I said, it's like 30,000 to 130,000, 200 grand in a family court. If you really want your kids, it's who spends the most money is going to get them. But if you can get that silver bullet in a false allegation, you got a free ride. And nobody looks
Exactly.
at anything surrounding the situation, anything dealing with the situation, the one-sided investigation. They don't look at any of the situation that might occur to bring up what you're in right now. And it's like I said before, the mother ran from investigations on her own. My child's been missing for 6 years. The mother and other dad did something, dropped the daughter out in my lap, and here I am dropping my life to pick up the pieces. Like, hi, little girl, what am I supposed to do with you? And 2 states are telling me, good luck, have fun. Uh, until you get paperwork from us, consider an open investigation on the mother and the boyfriend, and uh, you're on your own. Consider the case open until you get paperwork from us. Don't ever give her back to her parents. And it wasn't me that did anything, but the mother blames me for everything that happened to her. And it's like, w- you know,
Right. Right. And
it,
that's what narcissists do, is they put the blame all on the other person.
but that's the thing. The child was telling teachers and friends and family all these stories. I didn't even know about it until I had a knock at my door, and then I started investigating, truly investigating, it's pouring all my money. I am almost living out of a cardboard box right now, trying to figure out what happened. And I'm hired, I got Chris Banks from Versatile Paralegal Services, Monica Grego from Ladies for Justice, Legal Shield. I got the Gay Rights gay rights advocacy group. I got these nationals investigating the story, reading the story, taking my evidence and information. Alex Lockwood, oh my God, I can't turn my back on that dude or James White. But they took the evidence, they looked at the situation, they did their investigations, and they're like, I, I even had my investigation fees waived. I am telling the absolute truth. They the mother blames me for what happened to her, and what the people are going after her for, but the child has a different story, or the child is the one doing it, telling her story, and then I'm finding out about it, but I'm getting the blame for it from all the angles. And it's like, is anybody actually investigating this? And no, they're not.
No,
They
they're
told
not.
Chris. They told Chris straight to his face. It's we don't believe he did it. Nobody investigated. All the witnesses has told the investigators that nobody's come to question them.
Right.
Nobody.
See, and this is what the public needs to hear is what's going on in not just your case, but this is happening, I'm sure, to other people. And you brought up an interesting word, gaslighting, and a lot of people don't realize what gaslighting is. And I really didn't know what it was until maybe 3 years ago. But gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation in which a group of people or a person just sows seeds of doubt in a targeted person, making them question their own memory, perception, or judgment, often
For sanity.
insanity. Oh, yes. And often evoking in them cognitive dissonances and other changes, including low self-esteem. And that's a big one that they prey on. And that's also what the narcissist will prey on is building and crushing down your self-esteem using denial, misdirection, contradiction. And gaslighting involves attempts to destabilize the victim and delegitimize the victim's beliefs. Now, what's really interesting about this term originated from the British play Gaslight in 1938, which I never knew. I had to look this up, and it was very unusual because apparently in the play, the husband kept turning down the gaslight each night, and the wife kept saying, well, but the room, it's getting darker. No, it's not. It's not getting darker. And the next night,
Oh,
the room's getting darker. No, no, it's your imagination. And that's what gaslighting is, and that's how that came out to play. And a lot when you mention narcissists, and narcissists frequently use gaslighting tactics to abuse and undermine close family members. And narcissists are basically even sociopaths, in my opinion. I'm not a psychologist, but that's just my
actually, a
opinion.
lot of articles that I have read have associated gaslighting and narcissism, malicious mother syndrome, all to be in a pattern of sociopaths.
Hmm.
I think
Right.
I think a lot of it stems back to that, like you said, control and manipulation, and when they're not in control, or manipulating the situation to what they see that is beneficial to them and what they think their ideal of living is, that's when they turn on you. And you really don't want someone like that turning on you, because that's when the silver bullet is fired, and then the parental
Exactly.
alienation comes in, and then they abuse the system, which is already broken and doesn't know about the other categories.
Right. And gaslighting can occur in a parent-child relationship with either parent, mother or father, both lying to the other and attempting to undermine the perceptions of the child. It's
Absolutely.
very disgusting. It really is.
Well, like for example, the when I had a conversation with the other boyfriend 3.5 years ago, he told me, or he told my daughter something, and he was asking questions if me and the mother were in the sleep in the same bed together, if we had our clothes on. He was asking her, he was telling her that I'm the roommate, he's the dad still, and don't tell dad this, don't tell your mommy this. And then she was telling me how her mother was telling her, don't tell daddy, but we're gonna make him leave and we're gonna go live with your other dad. And it got really out of hand. And even when she was in my custody and on the phone, I was told I'm not allowed to let her see her mother. I'm not allowed to let her have physical contact. I'm not allowed to let her have her, period. Under any circumstances, the mother is never allowed to have the child back. And I understood that. But this is a woman's child she gave birth to. Whether the mother committed murder or she was Hitler, in my mind, I I should at least write her or call her. And they didn't say it wasn't okay to call. So I allowed her to call her until I caught her one day. She said mommy was saying some weird stuff, and then she put her mother on speakerphone, and that very last sentence, what was it? Your father kidnapped you. He's keeping you from us. He won't let you talk to anybody. You know what to do if you want to come home. And then I took the phone from my daughter and I told the mother, I said, listen, I can't have you talking to a child that way. You are under an open investigation. I'm not even supposed to allow you to have her or see her in person. I'm allowing these phone calls, but I can't do that anymore. You can't be telling that to a 9-year-old little girl. And I hung up the phone and I said, "Did she really say I kidnapped you?" And the child said to me, "Yeah, she always lies. She's a lying B word." And I'm like, "Where did you learn that language?" And she's like, "Oh, from Mike, the other boyfriend." And I'm like, "Oh
Oh
my
no.
God," because I guess supposedly she had made allegations against him to get him out of the house, and he was telling me how she took 10 grand from him.
Oh
But
no.
she was also going to another state with her girlfriend and getting high with her on meth. And like, she had this whole narcissistic system of manipulation where she would jump from boyfriend to girlfriend whenever she get caught.
Hmm.
And like you said, it's all transferring down to the child. The child is learning it. The child is is becoming part of the child's behavior.
Exactly. Exactly. You said it right there. They start learning from the narcissist and the brainwashing, and they also just will become and take on narcissistic traits. And I think
And I tried to
you
stop that.
right, and you try, but can you stop it? That's the sad part is I don't think it can be stopped if they're spending more time with that narcissist. And I think in the school systems, they should be doing a little psychology 101 class in the 8th grade, the 10th, 11th, and 12th grades, talking about personality disorders.
Absolutely, yes.
And it should also involve parental alienation and discussing this with the kids, the narcissistic personality disorder, the borderline, things like that. Because that way, when they go out into the world, they may have a boss that is a narcissist who treats them bad and is highly demanding and demeaning. And they
They
could
need
say,
to
hey,
defend themselves. They need the
right,
tools and the education to.
exactly. And I think that's something we should also be pushing for is these classes starting in 8th grade, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade about personality disorders and parental
Well,
alienation.
they do in 11th grade. I do remember. I know it was like 23 years ago, but I do remember psychology. There was split personalities, disassociation. Psychology class was one of the majors that you had to take, like English and government. And they did speak. They didn't do parental alienation, but they did, like I remember the whole thing about Charles Manson. Don't fall into a cult, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm. Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that part. They did talk about cults, but back when I went to high school, they weren't talking about personality disorders. Even when I was a new nurse, I was a psychiatric nurse. I said, what is a personality disorder? And I was working with seasoned nurses that had been nurses for like, I don't know, 15 years or so, but they said, well, they're just a-holes. And I said, oh, okay, that's what a personality disorder is. But they didn't say, wait a minute, there's a number of them, like a narcissist, a borderline. Of course, I did learn borderline there, but we saw the bad, very acute cases, acute chronic cases of borderline personality disorders.
I really honestly think I have that type of situation. Like you could show her a picture of like her boyfriends and girlfriends will hold up or send me pictures, or they'll put it on their profiles of them, they're clothed but they're in bed together, and I don't know why they have to get pictures of together, but facing each other, they get the pictures together, or they're snuggling, they get the pictures, boyfriends and girlfriends. When I'm busting her out with this, I'm like, you said it was just you and the child, but you're dating this person here, you're dating that person there, here's two pictures, that's you. No, that's not me. I don't know who that is. I've never met that person. I don't like her anyways. She does drugs, she does meth. And it's like, what?
Right. In a way, that's weird gaslighting, denying the photograph. Oh,
Or the
that's not
signature. The
right.
signature is notarized. You have at the bank, the notar has your signature, has to look at your driver's license, verify it's you, and before he can stamp it with a notar. That is your signature in the books. Oh, that's not my signature. She told this to the judge in court. That is not my signature. I don't know whose that is. It's not mine, but it's notarized.
Yeah. These people have a very bad problem with pathological lying, which a narcissist is very, very good at. I've seen it in a courtroom. It's pretty scary when they're lying, just a bald-faced lie in a courtroom, and the judge just goes along with it.
And what are they going to do when they get the truth? When the truth comes out and the truth is out, what are you going to do? Well,
Well,
you're caught and you're still denying it, but you're like it's the truth in your face. It's like being hit by a Mack truck. You can't avoid it. You're cemented where you are. You just got to take it. And what are you going to do with it? Continue with it? You can't.
well,
But they do.
they do, and the judge allows it. And in some cases, there's bias and collusion. Sometimes you do have a fair judge. Not all judges are bad. Not all attorneys are bad, but judges, when they hear the truth, at least in my case, I was despised for telling the truth.
Oh, is that why everybody hates me?
That's why everybody hates you. Yeah, once you start telling the truth, then you become hated, and that's where they'll start to use slander, because they know, okay, the truth is presented before me, so now let's try another tactic. Let's try slander, that
But
silver
that's not
bullet.
going to work. But it's not going to work. If you got witnesses and documentation, and all this evidence and information, and you're getting put down and put down, when does it stop?
I would like to know when it does stop. I would like
Oh
to
my
know.
goodness.
Um, the thing is that, like some people are very good at picking the right attorney who knows they're going to be going before a judge that is an acquaintance friend.
Oh no, that's conflict of interest. He's got to
Well, but
recuse himself.
oh, but they don't.
Oh, I heard. I know about you.
You know all about me.
Yes, ma'am. I do my research.
And that's, it's just unfortunate for the kids because they have no, even if they're telling the judge what they want, what they need, the judge is going to make up his own mind based
Yeah,
on what a caseworker is saying.
and you it doesn't matter if you sit down and have a intervention either. I had her mother and friends and family who caught her, and they once she comes in, everybody backstab me and turn face, and you can't enable that. You got to get these people help, and the only way to get them help is honestly put them in a straitjacket and throw them in an insane asylum. I don't know
Right.
what else to say.
Exactly, exactly. They'll tell you to go get a psychological evaluation, but when If there's collusion there, they'll just get a psychological evaluation from a friend, which is going to be pristine, of course,
Yeah.
when you know it should not be. There's just so many injustices in these family courtrooms. That's why I would like to see video cams and tamper-proof mics in these courtrooms.
I 100% support that. Why aren't we allowed to videotape for our own defense and safety? As they are, well, who was that? Gosh darn it, I forgot who I was watching. They were actually tampering. Yeah, it was in the news. They were tampering with court records to rule in the judge's favor or in his way, and they were caught doing so. Gosh, I wish I can remember more details about it. I just skimmed through it.
Exactly. And, when will people put aside their ego, their self preservate their selfishness and start thinking about others? And that's another big problem. And as far as tampering with these mics, that's a form of selfishness in itself. And that's why I want the tamper proof mics in, because when you go to report a judge for, say, conflict of interest, whatever,
Hmm.
you can at least pull these tapes, and they're
Yeah,
there for a review board to look at.
not just, in an appeal, it doesn't matter what you say in court. It doesn't matter what was said. If it's not on paper, it didn't happen. And in an appeal, they look at the paperwork and the paperwork alone. At least with a video or microphone or audio recording, people can look at that, hear and feel what people were saying. And I understand that completely, because I only just learned that the judge is not only a referee, but he's a psychologist. And he's looking at every single person to see who's telling the truth and who isn't. And it went even further to when I was in a court date. I was watching one of the witnesses, and the the guy that was defending himself was shaking his head, saying to his lawyer, I can hear him say, she's lying. And she was looking up at the ceiling, she was looking down at the ground, and I don't recall, I blacked out for 2 hours. And honestly, I shouldn't probably say anything else, but the fact of the matter is, they are it's a theater for them. It's a movie for them, and they are deciding who is right and wrong, let alone who's following the law and what is law.
Exactly. And we think about the future. I think you and I have talked, like, where do we see ourselves in 10, 20 years from now? And well, when is there going to be there for our children to look forward to if they should find themselves in a courtroom in the same predicament?
Well, if things don't change now, they're going to be in the same situation we're in. And if you have read some of these statistics, I'm sure you have, because a lot of the stuff that I learn is off your own website and information. Um, it is actually stated that CPS keeps a 5-generation abuse case in your family. So if your grandfather was abused, your grandchildren, your grandchildren's grandchildren will still have an open case for first contact for any hint of abuse. Now, if your child, they will take that generation again, and they always extend it 5 generations. So no matter what, our children are in danger. If you have ever had a false allegation or any type of situation that involves the system, they will keep your entire generation on record for 5 generations.
That's scary. That is scary.
And so, unless we fix the system now, unless we do something, stand up, save our children, and look at what needs to change, it's not about what is going to be changed. It's about doing it now, because it is broken. Nothing's getting fixed when our children grow into the system, and they're going to face the same situations. Honestly, if you look at it, the, the system targets the welfare, the poorer, the middle class and lower, because they can keep them in the system because they can't fight their way out. And most of the people that can't afford the system buy their way out. honestly, if you look at it, 80% of all these children are that are found being trafficked are from have open cases, are from the court system, the family system, the CPS system. They're all tied back. And if you look at their families and their family situation, or I wouldn't be as nefarious as that. I shouldn't say that, but if you can't fight the system, you're not knowledgeable, or you don't have the money to find someone to fight the system for you, you're not going to win. And that's wrong. What is right is right. What is the truth is truth. And until we can fix the system to where we're investigating the whole story and nothing but the story and nothing but the truth, it's just going to keep lining someone else's pocket. And as it
Exactly.
sits with Title 4D or E and these incentives and bonuses, people are going to say money's money.
Right.
People are going to say what they want.
And Title 4B is the CPS. They get their incentives.
And not
It's a
only that, qualified immunity. Are you kidding me? The only person that actually has qualified immunity in this entire United States of America is a juror. A juror has qualified immunity. If you look it up, you Google it right now, a juror has the right to dictate, manipulate the laws based on facts and evidence that is presented to them. And they get to decide whether the constitutional rights or immunities applies to them or the defendant or anybody in that courtroom. If they're innocent, they're guilty, why they are, why they aren't. The juror is the only people that actually has qualified immunity.
Right. Well, there's other case laws that I can throw out. Is Walsh versus Erie County Department of Job and Family Services. That is one where the caseworkers were trying to say that they didn't know they were making a mistake, when in fact they knew what was going on. I know I'm not wording that right because I can't find it in
I
my
vaguely remember.
paperwork.
I vaguely remember it too. And the fact of the matter is, they're not going to say they were wrong because that opens a lawsuit. They're not going to say they made a mistake because that opens a lawsuit in which they lose money. They lose money. They actually are federally funded based off of how many children they could take. So one child is $3,000, 3,500, $3,000. And okay, so it goes like this. They get an open case. That's $3,000 federal grant money. They put the child in foster home. That's another what, $2-3 grand. The child gets adopted. That's what, 20-30 grand? And it
Yeah,
stacks.
it's terrible. It's
And they get to see how they get to spend it how they see fit.
and it's got to come to an end because the taxpayers need to know where their money's going. And I was going to say, Dan, do you have any closing remarks you would like to make?
We need to achieve that better tomorrow. We need to put aside our egos. We need to learn that self-preservation and selfishness is not the way the world works. We need to find a better tomorrow for our children today.
Exactly. Well said. Well said. Rich, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Not really. I was just like, I was falling asleep. I'm sorry, I hadn't had any
You're gonna have
sleep.
to edit that out. You're gonna have to edit that
What,
out,
us
Mr.
falling asleep? Oh,
Yeah, you
you gotta
What?
edit anything out.
That bad, huh?
No, 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 it wasn't that bad. I just haven't had any sleep.
Oh no, I'm so sorry, but could you please edit that out? Okay, I'm going to conclude. Slam the Gavel is a podcast to help the public understand what really goes on in the family courtrooms that in turn perpetuate parental alienation. I am your host, Marianne Petrie, author of Dismantling Family Court Corruption. And please join us again in the future for another exciting episode.